Hello everyone, it is Erin Floto here today, and I am here for a tutorial Tuesday. So I will be showing you how to set up the mosaic headers that I have been making as part of my weeklies. It was requested in, I think, the comments of one of my videos as well as on Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and do a tutorial for you all today, and I'm really excited about it. This is using my new triangle mosaic stencil, as you can see here. It's just a bunch of triangle designs, and then I use that stencil in order to make the header. You can, of course, do it without the stencil. It's pretty easy to do it without the stencil as well. I just like the stencil because I made it a very random looking stencil, and when you're doing it on your own, it tends to look a little bit more uniform. So I definitely wanted it to look a lot more random, because that gives it kind of that mosaic look. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it with the stencil today. So the headers that I'm talking about in particular are these types of headers that you can see here. I also did it in my previous weekly with these types of headers. So in this most recent weekly, I used 3 colors per header, and on this one I used 2 colors per header. I like the look of the 2 colors per header better, but you can also do an entire rainbow as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do it on this page. I don't know what I'm going to be using this weekly for, but I will go ahead and put a list together or something on this page. Who knows at this point? So really quickly, I am just going to mark off the boundaries of where I want to make the header. You can also do this as like a frame. That would be really cool to do. So I know that I just want the boundaries very simply like this. I'm marking it with a pencil and a straight edge. This straight edge in particular is my A5 bullet journal size guide. So I'm going to use the exact same stencil that I have been using. So as you can see, if I go back to this weekly, one of the things that I did is I like to line up the bottom, so you can see that matches pretty perfectly. I like to line up either the bottom or the top in order to make these headers. That way I'm already taking care of one of my lines right from the get-go. And I'm just going to move this down so that I get a bunch of that triangle right there. So then it's really simple from there doing the headers. You follow the outline of the stencil up until where you see a border. And then I won't go to the corner of that triangle. I'll work my way up right to the top of that border. Freehand across the top, and then go down again with the stencil. Like I said, you can always freehand this as well. It's a lot of different patterns of triangles. So in this one in particular, I'm doing mostly freehand and then just using the stencil to finish that edge. Now this does have a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and mark in some orange in the corner of that triangle before moving on to another triangle. It's very, very simple. I'll also show you how to do this freehand. You can also do it a lot more uniform than this. I personally like the very scattered look that this gives, like I said in the beginning. But to each their own. If you wanted to do very uniform triangles, you can also do that. If you want to do uniform other types of polygons and things like that, very, very easy to do. The biggest thing is just making sure that you're staying within the outline you create for the header. It's not too big of a deal to go through and use a black pen to fix it up a little bit. But if you don't have to fix it up, that's always easier in my opinion. I think in everyone's opinion. And I'm glad orange is going to end up getting a little bit bigger of a triangle because I think it got shafted over here a little bit. So I just did a rainbow version, but if I were to do 2 colors, what I try to do my best is not to have 2 colors touch each other. Sometimes that's going to be inevitable. If you're doing only 2 colors, you can see that those 3 colors right here are touching each other, or they're very close to touching. So you're going to get kind of close when it comes to just doing 2 colors. When you're doing 3 colors, you can definitely avoid that. And of course, doing the rainbow, you're not going to have any of the colors touching. So from there, I'm just going to go ahead and fill in. Just remember, if you are using jelly rolls, I get this question a ton about jelly rolls, is that it doesn't come out as opaque as my photos. And that's because I hold it as straight as I possibly can, and I work very slow. With the jelly rolls, you want it to have time to come out. The only exception is that yellow one. The yellow one for me never works quite right in terms of getting the same opacity as all of the other pens. But working very slow, barely touching the paper, and moving back and forth. You don't need a lot of pressure when it comes to these types of pens. And actually, you probably should use less pressure when you're working with these types of gel pens, because that is what is going to put down the most amount of ink. So I am just going to fast forward you through me doing the rest of the header and then go on to outlining. And after finishing that, I am just going to put a box around it using my gold jelly roll. You can also use any one of these colors. You can do a rainbow effect. You can use white. So I used gold in this past weekly, and I used white in the period before that. Well, that was a big fail because I finished and then figured out that it didn't record most of the video. Because of course it didn't. This is an extension of 2020 after all. Okay, so just going over it again, this is the stencil version, which is a little bit more chaotic, not as uniform, versus this one, which I hand drew and that you can tell is a little bit more uniform. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do another one because why not? At this point, it is what it is. And I want to put it halfway down the page, so I'm just gonna go ahead and mark yet again, and I'm going to do it here. Now I have absolutely no clue what these lists are gonna be for, because I definitely had not intended on making a third list. So I'm just doing the borders again. So I like to use two similar colors. So you can see on this one, I used the pink, kind of pinkish color, and the red, the yellow and orange, the green and teal, blue and purple, pink and maroon, and then I just did gold on this last one. And one of the things about doing this type of look is not having the colors touch each other so much. So it's going to be inevitable if you're just working with two colors that some of the triangles are going to end up touching each other. For example, right here, these two triangles were both next to this one. So what I decided to do was put the maroon on the top so that the pink was a little bit further away. And one of the things I like about this look, particularly with the two colors, is that it creates kind of a refractive type of look, like a prism type of look within that color scheme when you choose two colors that marry really well together because they're very close to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again and hopefully it all gets recorded this time. I'll probably keep checking throughout the video to make sure it's still recording. So again, I am just kind of sketching it out so that I know where to put the colors, and I'm trying to include that negative space. And again, we're going to see that same concept that some of the triangles are going to be close enough that they are next to each other. And what I like to try to do is keep that as minimal as possible and try to alternate as much as possible with that type of look. In the case of this header, I was just doing a rainbow, so it wasn't a big deal. But if you're using two colors, I try to make it so that they are not touching each other. But again, I'm going to have that issue. For example, these two are right next to it. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one so that the purple is further away from each other. And basically what you're doing is kind of creating that look that there's unfinished business, essentially, that if these were extended out, you would see a triangle developed. So that's kind of the concept there. So if these got extended out like this, that there's a triangle there, it's kind of a continuation of that idea of the stencil. The stencil is available, by the way, not to toot my own horn, on my website and on my Etsy shop. If you are interested, there's a few other types of stencils there as well. There's a cheetah print stencil, there's honeycomb, so there's a few other, I think there's like zebra stripes. So there's a bunch of other types of stencils there as well that are patterns, snowflakes, all that kind of stuff. Or there are bullet journal design stencils, so different types of habit trackers and things like that. And to create that header look, I like to finish it off with just a border. It makes it a lot more contained. It makes it very obvious that this is one particular segment for a header. So I just like to finish it off with that border. It could be gold like here, or it can be white over here. You can also use gold or white to write inside of this. You can use another color also. These colors are pretty good at overlapping each other. They're not the best pens I've worked with overlapping each other, but you do have to make sure it is incredibly dry. I have started this before. It is incredibly dry because this is my second time filming this. So I am probably gonna use this to organize my anniversary sale. My shop is officially, what, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 4 years old. So I am having an anniversary sale at the end of February, so stay tuned for more information about that. So I will probably jot down information to finalize some of those plans. I'm really excited about some of the things that are getting released, so stay tuned for that. And I'm just going to go ahead and write that on here. All right, I hope you like this video. If you have any other ideas for tutorials that you want to see from me, please let me know. I am happy to do tutorials for this new Tutorial Tuesday situation that we have going on here. It's not every single Tuesday, but I am trying to do about 2 Tuesdays a month having some sort of tutorial. So please let me know if there's anything that you want to see from me. This one in particular came from Instagram and from YouTube. So thank you so much for the people that suggested me to do this mosaic header situation. And I will see you next time. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that kind of jazz. I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.